Hi guys. Hi guys. How you doing? This is actually like my fourth take trying to do this. This was hard. Okay, so today I want to talk a little bit about the darkness inside of me, my mind. And it's hard to do because every time I try to record it, I think it's right, but then I can't quite do it because then I get frustrated or just, when you're trying to display something, you're trying to talk about something, and it just doesn't, it doesn't, it just doesn't. Just doesn't. It's the best way I can describe it. Okay. So a while back, I did a video or recording or whatever in which I talked a little bit, kind of more abstractly, about the darkness inside of me, void. So when many of us describe the void, we're referring to as like that pit in which all emotion is drained, and everything turns black and white, and all of it just becomes nothing. You end up with this emptiness, and you feel like a cast off shell, a cicada almost, but just what was left behind, right? With nothing inhabiting it. It's oftentimes what refers to as a void, right? That's not what I'm describing here today. Today is something a little more unique to myself, probably, or others may inhabit it, but it is this resentment, this hatred that is inside of you. For many of us, you can't actually quite bubble it to the surface, but it takes its shape, it takes a form. For me, it is a beast, it is a thing, it is an indecipherable, screaming, agonizing thing. It scratches at the walls of my mind. It is this abomination, this aberration of time and space, this thing of which I cannot give a proper name other than I. It is a spiteful, resentful thing because it is also a child that was hurt, a child that was neglected, a child that was abused, and a child turned into a monstrosity of sorts that wants nothing but to bring oblivion and end to everything around it, to bring darkness to the existence that it inhabits, to encase itself in it along with everything else. That is what the beast wants. That is what that thing wants. If you would have talked to me in my early 20s, I probably would have been pretty anti-natalist. I don't hold that position anymore, obviously. It is an abstraction, concept that is taking form inside of my mind. And that concept is existential hatred. Thought in my mind of why was I born? Who asked for this? Why was I constructed? Why do I now possess sentience, which I cannot revert? Some might argue that it is better to have lived and lost than to have ever lived at all. The beast inside me disagrees, but that is merely a beast, a hateful child, construct made up of all the parts of me that were destroyed early on. Being as sincere and honest as I can about it. But it is not entirely me. It is a part of me. For some of you that know the concept, it is a shadow. For some of us, that shadow is overwhelming, powerful. For some of us, it's minuscule, manageable. Mine was A great beast, a great thing. Usually turned inward, destructive as a schizoid personality type I have to keep it at bay when it would rear its fangs. It would turn ugly. Luckily for me, due to its personality disorder as well as my own self-discipline, it's never caused any kind of irreversible destruction other than to myself, perhaps. But in staving it off, I've probably done other smaller discrepancies. This thing, if I were to describe it, has two eyeless sockets, a mouth without lips, a body without form, a thing of static, of black electricity, extending its tendrils into everything inside my mind, attempting to rip out of me and into the world, of which I have not allowed. It is a darkness, all-consuming, always hungry, never-ending. It lives inside the void that we often describe as schizoids for me. It lives in the emptiness, inhabits it, travels through it, screams, echoes throughout its walls. It is the only thing inside that void that I could hear very clearly when I listen. Luckily for me, at best it translates into the angst you often see with me, some of my more set sort of uploads. The thoughts, basic as they are, of why must I listen to this? Why must I be here? Why must I continue this? What purpose does this serve if I live in a framework in which I am incongruent? What am I doing here? And why does anything else deserve to be doing anything here as well? Should anything exist, including myself? Why should this be tolerated? All of this. A thing of hate and spite. Oblivion. Its goal. Destruction. The means. And all life. All sense of feeling. Its feast. It cares not for happiness or sadness. It only wants to consume. That is what it feels like. But there is some merit to all this. It is not all agony. Over the years, now myself a man of 37 almost, I've learned to stave it up, roll it, love it, as well as teach it. It is a child, after all. It is me. It is the inner child. But it has been transformed into something not very human. To say the least. But one must not deny it, and one must not hate it. For that leads to further stagnation, progress of the self. No, I've embraced it. I'm aware of it. And I'm doing my best to both moderate its influence on me, as well as giving it the child, the care and understanding of which it is so starved. I must become the father to my own inner child. I must tend to it. Listen. Understand that its behavior is intolerable, illogical, pure, resentful malice. But it must be held. It must be cared for. And in return, it gives rewards. It gives you a better sense of completion of the self. It is merely a peace, a dark, sinister peace, but it is a peace. And only with love, attention, care, and patience can it be satiated. And I feed it. But I feed it concepts, ideas, other destructive forces, other destructive things that inhabit the world, other beasts. I feed them that. I feed it that. And in return, it produces something fascinating. Within that spite and resentment, it gives me energy, it gives me tenacity to keep moving forward, to continue forward toward progress of some sort for both myself and now this project and everything I do. It gives me a goal. Well, not the goal itself, but the energy to strive toward that goal. For as violent and as uncontrollable as such an energy seems to be, in the right hands, proper amount of discipline and motivation, it can turn into something quite useful. And that is what I have been attempting to do. And it seems to be working. At least for now. I'm not sure what else to describe or say about it. Other than it might be there for you as well. For years I denied it. For years I pushed it down. Used mask upon mask to push it away. Gaslighted myself into denying its existence. Or also made the mistake at certain points in my life, believing that it was me. That this thing is all I was. Nothing else. No. It is the burnt offerings, the burnt remains of what was destroyed in my past. Brought to life via some form of subconscious necromancy. It cannot be severed. It cannot be separated. It can only be accepted. For it is me. And for some of you, actually getting it out is difficult because it doesn't bubble to the surface, the emotion, but you can feel this discomfort, this desperation, this thing whatever shape it takes for you, whatever incarnation. For some of you, it is not rage, resentment, it is sadness, misery, no wanton need for the abolition, the abolishment, not the abolishment of what is existence and sense, self. Maybe abolition can be a proper term. It's neither here nor there. I think this may be the best I can do as far as describing it. This eyeless thing screams inside the void. One must hold it, one must love it, for it is you. It's all that you can do. Denying it and fighting it will intensify its howls, its agony, its wailing. In any case, I think that's a pretty avid description of my personal schizoid darkness. If anybody has questions about that sort of stuff on a future stream or anything, you're more than welcome to ask. It is not a private subject for me. Nothing is at this point. Shall be fodder. Cannon fodder. If you like my content, please subscribe. Hit that stupid fucking bell, because if you don't hit the fucking bell, you won't get notifications. And, if you have any money to spare, I'm gonna e-beg, so you can give it to me, so that I can do this more often. I can spend more time doing this. I'm gonna be uploading more often, luckily, because the situation has improved. Yeah, Patreon, PayPal, whatever. Fuck. Stop spending it on your hentai and shitty Netflix subscription. Okay, well, that was fun. Whatever that's worth.